Hello, welcome to the second exclusive video here in Mr. Bruff's Guide to English Language, looking at Paper 2, Question 3, the language analysis question. What we've already established is that we should look for words or phrases or sentence structures which seem to be deliberately employed by the writer for effect. That could be words or phrases that go beyond the literal meaning. If I say to you, I was driving so fast in this Audi the other day, I was flying down the road, my words have gone beyond the literal meaning. I'm using a metaphor. I wasn't literally flying down the road, but I'm using that metaphor to convey an idea of speed. And it's similar with all language use. Where does a writer in that source go beyond the literal meaning? The other way of looking at it is, where has the writer seemed to choose words or phrases deliberately, where they could have written any word, but they seem to have deliberately thought, no, I'm going to use this word because they're trying to be persuasive. But if you struggle with that, as I said in the last video, you can always look for arrested. You can get arrested. Each letter stands for something. Alliteration, rhetorical question, repetition, emotive language, statistics, rule of three, exaggeration, indirect address. And you can look for arrested in the source. These are examples which I went through, and definitions, all in the ebook, of course. And if you're watching this video, it means you have got the exclusive link from the ebook. Nobody else gets to watch these exclusive videos apart from you guys who buy the ebook, and it's the same with my literature guide. So buy that, because there are exclusive videos linked in that one too. And all we're going to do is go through the letter looking for the arrested devices. So, you know, if you've memorized the tables in the previous, the details in the previous table, then all you need to do is have a highlighter in your hand, take one into the exam, and highlight the arrested techniques in the source, and then you've memorized the reasons they're used. So all you do is put them into P paragraphs, point, evidence, explain. So let's have a look through. Dear Mr. Woollock, I'm writing with reference to the continued poor behaviour exhibited by your son Adrian here at Woodland Green School. Would we say anything is important there? Well, yeah, I think so. I think the word exhibited is quite emotive. It is a very deliberately formal word, and it ties in with the word exhibition and suggests his bad behaviour is, you know, he's just sort of showing off. But it's also a very formal, serious word, which suggests that the head teacher is very offended by the bad behaviour, and it's a very kind of serious offence. If you think about it, if a teacher says, I mean, I've done it myself at a parents' evening, if you say something like, oh, he's been very silly lately, it kind of downplays the kind of crime, it sort of softens it. Poor behaviour exhibited is much more emotive and powerful, and doesn't downplay it at all. One little tip is it's quite easy to find some of the arrested devices by simply looking, scanning through quickly, and you can find things like you know, numbers are often statistics, so lessons begin at 7:30. You can just look for numbers in there. You can spot very easily question marks, which are often, of course, rhetorical questions, because, you know, the expectation, even though, in fact, this is a letter from one person to another, the expectation is not that this question will be answered. You can quite understand, I'm sure, that I therefore proceeded to administer 2 lashes of Old Faithful, that's the cane. That doesn't actually require an answer. The writer isn't expecting the father to answer this question, yes, I do understand why you did it, or no, I don't understand why you did it. So really, you can look for numbers as an easy way of finding statistics, and question marks jump out as an easy way of finding rhetorical questions. And that normally, you know, is very easy to spot. And then you're just scanning through looking for examples. So reading and writing is an example of alliteration. Remember, alliteration is where words begin with the same sound, not the same letter. So even though reading begins with an R and writing begins with a W, that it is alliteration. The rhetorical question you can quite understand was there. There's some repetition, twice, yes, twice. You know, repetition in this case sort of makes it seem like this head teacher cannot believe he had to do it twice. You know, he's almost like he's caught himself off guard with the reality that it happened twice, and he said it again. You know, he can't believe his own words. He's had to repeat himself. there's a lot of emotive language, and there often will be in a piece which has any sort of persuasive purpose. Emotive language always is used in persuasion. Words such as I said, exhibited, supposedly is quite manipulative, eager and keen to learn, pride ourselves, excel, idle chatter. A great juxtaposition, a great contrast of positive emotive language to say, oh, this is what our school is supposed to be, and negative emotive language to say this is what your son is. And in the juxtaposition of the two, in the contrast of the two, we have such a powerful persuasive element. And that's one of the key things as I wrap up this short video to look at, is where not only we find arrested, but where we look at how arrested is put with other elements. You see, I've been an examiner for a number of years, and one of the key things, one of the most amazing things I learnt as an examiner was that a perceptive answer will not only spot the language uses, but will also consider where they are used in relation to each other. And when we look back at Mr. Thompson's letter, we see he's used direct address with the word you, which suggests familiarity between the two, but then he's contrasted it with a much more distant and formal address of I am writing with reference to. We could argue, for example, this contrast is used by Mr. Thompson to make Mr. Woollock feel both like the head teacher cares about him personally, but also to reinforce the fact that Thompson is superior to his reader. In the same way, we see the negative emotive language with the positive emotive language to highlight the difference between what is expected and what is actually being demonstrated by the boy's behaviour in school. So as I wrap up this video, before the next video we look at the actual sample answer itself, just think about that. Where is arrested used? But more importantly, are there different elements of arrested juxtaposed with each other?